All right, so I'm going to do a little shameless plugging. I know this sounds silly, but you know, I've been going through boxes and cupboards and everything with the move coming up with the store, and I found my stack of, you know, stuff that I'm sort of proud of. And I thought, well, you know, this is a good place to show it off. So in case you don't know, years ago, I had a very successful jewelry line, and I had my jewelry in about 80 stores across Canada. And I was published a little bit, you know, nothing, I didn't write a book or anything, but I was in some magazines, and I found all these. And so I thought, you know, I'm going to show them to you because they don't really make magazines anymore. I don't know if there's any beading magazines. And I mean, I know there's books, but it is kind of nice to see some of the old things. So that's what I'm going to show you today. So the first issue we have here is a Bead Style magazine. Now, back in my day when I was submitting to magazines, it was a really big thing to get your stuff in a magazine. It was very competitive. We were paid. It wasn't a very large amount of money that we made, like, I don't know, $50 or something like that, but it was more just getting your stuff in here. And this one I really wanted to be in because this was their Pearl issue, and they would know, oh gosh, almost maybe a year in advance what they were going to do. And so they would put out a call for certain styles to be in it. And this was their Pearl issue. And I had this really fabulous project. And so I don't even know what page it's on. I'll try and find it now. This project was really, it was fun. Let me see if I can find it by going to the front, because I probably could do it that way. No, they don't even have me in the front here, you know. I guess I was relegated to the back somewhere. I'll find it by flipping through. I really miss these issues of magazines because there was so much inspiration, and there was so many cool projects, and, you know, so many names that you would recognize, like there's Brenda Schwader. She used to be in our group, and I know that Andrew Thornton was in a lot. A lot of people were in these magazines, and it was really sort of one of those things. I remember when I got the email that I was in this one, I was just so excited. I don't know if this was my first one, but it was probably one that I was most proud of because it was such a cool idea that just kind of came to me one day. Now, I guess I am just not going to be able to find this thing. Where is it? Let's dig through. I may have to edit this video. I was going to try and do it unedited, but I think, oh, there we go. Okay, so this was for the June part of the birthstones for pearls. So what I really liked about this one was I had these Bally style. They were sterling silver. They were the, what do you call those things? Chandelier components. And I had a million of them, and you know, I used to have them like this, and then you would kind of dangle, just got to make sure I'm on camera here. You would dangle things from down there. But then they kind of went a bit out of style, and I had tons of them. And because they were sterling silver, I thought, what am I going to do with them? So I simply took two of them and went back to back and put some sterling silver jump rings in between them, and then dangled some absolutely gorgeous white flat coin pearls on there, the freshwater pearls. And I just thought that was such a classic piece. They were long, but they were really beautiful. And then they actually wanted me to make a necklace to go with it. So we just kind of came up with just something very simple. But I loved this one, and I thought it was a really unique idea. And they liked it enough to put it in the magazine. So that one was from the Bead Style 2009. And I was also in a couple books. These are just what I could kind of find. And I think there is actually, maybe there is a thing in the back here that says where we are. So I'll see if I can quickly go through here. Again, sometimes what these magazines would do is they would reuse your projects. So you would be in a magazine, and then you would be in a book, and then you would be in another magazine. I think that one Pearl project might have been done 2 or 3 times in different books and magazines. And I actually have a really funny story about it. I will have that in another copy here in a bit. So now when it came to these books, they didn't have to ask our permission. They just reused the pieces again, and we didn't get paid for the books or anything like that. It was more just kind of like a, you know, sort of a notch in your cap or a feather in your cap or something like that to get into these books. So, I mean, and they're forever. People have these books sitting on their shelves. Oh, now this one I absolutely loved. So this one is actually in a magazine too, but then they put it in a book. So what they would do is you would send them your project and then they would replicate it. So this was their replication. And then this was mine. So it came out, I had all these beautiful sort of fall tones like browns and sort of champagne and sort of, this was like a goldy bronze color. And then this beautiful sort of pumpkin color pearl. And then they made a comparable one in their sort of tones of greens and blues, which was really pretty. So you would just send them that with a little brief synopsis of how you made it. And then they would take little pictures so that they could replicate it and then show their readers how to make that one. So I'm very proud of this one. This was actually in my jewelry line for a long time. And I just thought it was so classic. And it's still classic today. I think you could still wear that. So this one was in the Easy Beading Fast Fashionable Fun Volume 7. So that was from a Bead Style magazine. So that one's kind of fun. Now, this was one of my favorite magazines, and I think I was in the final. This was the last issue of this. I absolutely love this magazine. It had the best projects. It was a little bit different magazine. A lot of my girlfriends were in this one. I'm not sure if any of them are in this particular issue. If I'm flipping through and I can find them, I will stop. But it had a little bit of everything in here. It had fashion and just really, like, look at the colors in that. So, like, so unique. I'm hoping that you can actually see okay without any glare, but really, really cool stuff. Oh yeah, so I see Stephanie Dielman. Let's see, she's one of my besties. Oh, so you may have heard of Stephanie. Beautiful lampwork artist, and that's one of her pieces. I know it's hard to get a full shot of the magazine in there, but a lot of my friends got into these magazines. And so it was kind of a real fun thing back in the day. And I think on this one, I haven't looked at this for a while, but I think they did an issue on my store, if I remember correctly. But, you know, I could be wrong, because like I said, it's been a while since I've looked at this one. And I know I'm in here somewhere, but I kept all this. Oh, look at that. That's from Tracy Gonzalez from Tierra Cast, where she did these really cool things with magic gloss. And I think she just did another project, something like that. So that was kind of fun. Let's see. All right, maybe I'll look at the beginning. But they were full of resources, all kinds of really cool things. And the editor, Pamela, she was awesome. She was a lovely lady. I really enjoyed Pamela. Let's see if I can find myself. Oh, there's my other girlfriend, Carrie Fuhr. There's her stuff. Her stuff is beautiful too. I have very talented friends. Let's see. Where's Kellie in here? Well, you know, I don't know. I can't find me. Oh, there we go. I could just live here. Let's see, page 38. So this was just my very first store, actually. So back in the day, this was the front of my very first little store. It looks so bare when I look at it. Oh my gosh, it looks so tiny. And my very good headshot that I had done, which was, you know, I look fabulous there, but there's a lot of Photoshop. So here's our little tiny seed bead section we used to have. I'm going to see, does that show up very well? I didn't want to have seed beads, but a lot of people said that I needed to. So back in the day, we used to do them in vials, and I only had check glass ones. I didn't have the Miyuki seed beads. So that was how we used to store them. It was so funny. And there was just we used to sell a lot of display stuff. So we had those out for sale. And then this was my mother-in-law's bird bath, which you may have seen in a recent picture on our Facebook page. I gave this to my staff member, Lori, and she made a beautiful thing for her garden with some garden art. But we used it for what we called bead soup. So when we were down to the last of things, we would just throw beads in there and people could fill up these little bags for $5. And it was a very favorite place in the store for people to go. And all of our beads used to be in these little white trays. And so it was very neat and organized. And oh my gosh, here's an old picture of a class. And this is Julie, who still works for me all these years later. So Julie was always taking classes. And here's Mary. She's still one of my customers. And Maya, she probably took more classes than any other person in my entirety of 13 years of being in business. She was lovely. And this is Babs. She used to come to the store and volunteer. But we used to have all this crew of girls that used to come in and take classes and hang out and stuff. And so it's kind of fun to look back. So this was just a little blurb done on my store and, a little bit about it. So I was really honored to be in their very last issue of the magazine. So that was kind of fun. It's fun looking back at this stuff. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am, because it's kind of fun. All right. So here's another one from September 2009. I only did a few submissions. I was so busy in my business that I didn't really have time to do a lot of them, but it was kind of fun to do submissions. So here's the original one. So this is that magazine where they put that's a different one, I think, right? Yeah. So they put this project in a book, but it was originally in the magazine. So see, they'd double dip it again, because they would get some really good, material out of these. And this was one of my most famous quotes that everybody knew me for. I'm just going to see if it shows up on there. I'm going to pull it up here a little bit. Yeah. So it said I went from stainless steel handcuffs to sterling silver bracelets, because if you know me, you know that I used to work in a jail. And so that was a quote that was put in this magazine, and I thought that was really cute. All right. What else? So now this is the fun part. I love this. So I received a copy of this magazine in the mail, and that's what they used to do. They never told you if you were going to be in, this is a book. They never told you if you were going to be in a book. They just would send you a copy, and then you would open it up and you would find your project and go, oh, look I'm in a book. So I got this in the mail, and I'm looking through it going, well, why did they send this to me? I have no idea. My name's not in there. I'm not in this book. And then I opened it up and went, oh my goodness, look at that. I am in it. But they credited somebody else. They said these were designed by Jenny Van, and that all the components came from Auntie's beads. So there's my original one, which was in their possession, but they credited the wrong person. So I contacted them and said, hey, you guys credited the wrong people. And they're like, whoops, we'll change that. But I don't know if it ever was. So, I was in a book again, but it just wasn't me. So things happen. But lots of fun little projects in these some of them are still very, very current, so, like this is kind of like something that I would do, just mixing your metals and layering and stacking. So that is that one. Now, I also used to have catalogs, because I was in so many stores. I had to have catalogs to give to my reps, because I had 13 sales reps when I was at my busiest. So what I had to do was 2 lines a year. So like this was fall 2008, and this one's fall 2009. And everybody always wanted to see my jewelry. They're like, oh my gosh, your jewelry must have been the most fantabulous thing. And I'm like, well, not really. It just kind of hit the way that people wanted it, I guess. What I did was lines on things. So this was a Swarovski crystal line that I picked up, and I can't remember the name of this color. It's in the back of my brain, but it's not coming out. And so I would make multiple things using that same color. And so I would this was a 14 karat gold line that I had. And then this was all my sterling silver. So, and then this I think was actually antique bronze. So I kind of mixed and matched different metals, but I would use the same components. And that's what they kind of wanted to see, because you could merchandise that in a store. So it was using the same color, but just using, making sort of different styles. So you can see that there's another one that I used. Very basic. These were huge Swarovski crystals. This one was very popular. It was a really big necklace with just a big piece of chain on there with the big Swarovski crystal, and these super simple earrings. So, and I would just take pieces of chain and cut them and drop those on there. So it's not like my jewelry was anything super special. It just kind of, I guess it hit at the moment. and I would find really unique components and make things with it. Here's one that I did with, I would take heavy gauge silver and just kind of create this cool thing, which was really hard to replicate. So you can see those are in different metals, but I would replicate, that's a hard word to say a couple times. I would make those almost identical just by using my pliers, because I had learned how to do that. And so that was just, I would fold that around and then I would hammer it and do all kinds of things. And that was a really popular piece. This style was one of my very popular pieces, where I use these tubes. You know, I'm kind of famous for my tubes. So that's one of the ones that was very popular. This Lila necklace was super popular. It was just a beautiful Bally silver lentil sterling silver bead with just a black onyx and another tiny Bally bead with a little piece of chain, and then our other chain there. Super popular. And then I also, so this one was a whole collection. I made a pair of earrings and a bracelet that had multi-strands, and then I made a ring with it too. So super fun, just creating a whole collection using the exact same components. So if you're wanting to get into stores, I would imagine that they would still like to do things that way. And this was a whole collection using Swarovski pearls, because those were really big in their time. So this is just kind of, you know, basic jewelry. I don't know. I don't think my stuff was super exciting. So you can see that was the one that I had in that magazine. But it was just kind of fun. It's fun to look back at some of these ones. I was very well known for these. Let's see, which one was the one that was the most popular? This one here. So in these ones, I had my prices, and those were my wholesale prices. And everything had to have a code. So these ones, I had all these different affirmation bands in sterling silver. And I had, you know, friends and best friends and dream, love, faith, hope, courage, laugh, sister, grandma. And then they could get different crystals. So this was a huge part of my line. And some of you are getting some of those in your mystery boxes when you're ordering them. I have some of those, but they're not in sterling silver. But this was what I did with those. And those were very popular. They make a really great, like, sort of, you know, mum gift or that kind of thing. I did a lot of hand stamping back in the day, a lot of hammering and doming and that kind of stuff. So those were some of the catalogs I had. I did a lot of, you know, just different things. So that's that. I know somewhere buried in this, I was in a wedding issue. I think what this one was there's a big long story of a couple that had had a terrible tragedy, and I donated their entire wedding jewelry, and so it got into a magazine. So that was kind of a nice little thing to have. And this is one of our beautiful broadcasters here that we have. And then I was in a bunch of different newspaper articles, and this was the one that made me famous, if I want to call myself famous. So Shelley Frolic, who just recently passed away, unfortunately, she met me at an event one night, and she said to me, would you be interested in being in an article? And I'm just going to put it in the Vancouver Sun, which is what this paper was. And this came out in May 2009. And that was just shortly before I closed my business down, actually. I didn't stay open that much longer. Anyway, she loved my jewelry and wore my jewelry all the time, and she really wanted to do an article on me. So I said, well, of course. So she did an article on Lorena Panis, who was another local designer, and on me. And with my this was at the time a very famous bracelet. I called it the, I think this was this the Maya bracelet? And this was just beautiful wood and some turquoise. And this got in, she said it was going to be in one newspaper, and it was in every single newspaper across Canada. I was getting phone calls and emails from people all over the place saying, oh my gosh, I just read about you in the newspaper. And I always was grateful to Shelley for putting this out, because it was really just a super fun thing. And I was sad to hear of her passing, but I just thought it was so nice that she loved jewelry so much and wore a lot of it. So, you know, that was probably my favorite one. So I've got a few other here, but you know, that's sort of the best one to end on. So just a little shameless plug. I just wanted to, you know, show you a little bit of who I used to be before I owned a bead store.